Amanda, before you start recording, or it can be recorded, I just love starting my morning listening to you sing the invocation. It's beautiful.
Oh, that's very sweet, Jackie. Yeah, I like this invocation.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Isabella will be singing in the background.
Oh, even better.
So this is the Bhagavad Gita as it is by Swami Prabhupada, Shloka 37. And we'll start with the invocation. Om Jnana Timanandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Tamyena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stipatyam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadankyam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavata Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahaganam Raghunathavitantam Sajivam Sadvatam Savadutam Parijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishnu Kividasha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jakarapate Gopesha Gopika Kantarata Kantanamostute Tapta Kancha Gurungucharate Brindavanishvare Vrisadam Sutapevis Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpaturubhischa Kripa Sindhubhya Evachar Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
पापमेवाश्रयेदस्माद् हत्वैतानातताहिनः तस्मान्नर्हा वयं हन्तुं धार्तराष्ट्रान् स्वबान्धवान्.
Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Drashtastra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? How could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? According to the Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors. 1, a poison giver. 2, one who sets fire to the house. 3, one who attacks with deadly weapons. 4, one who plunders riches. 5, one who occupies another's land. And 6, one who kidnaps a wife. Such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. Such killing of aggressors is quite benefiting for any ordinary man, but Arjuna was not an ordinary person. He was saintly by character, and therefore he wanted to deal with them in saintliness. This kind of saintliness, however, is not for a Kshatriya. Although a responsible man in the administration of a state is required to be saintly, he should not be cowardly. For example, Lord Rama was so saintly that people were anxious to live in his kingdom. Rama Raja. But Lord Rama never showed any cowardness. Ravana was an aggressor against Rama because he kidnapped Rama's wife, Sita, But Lord Rama gave him sufficient lessons unparalleled in the history of the world. In Arjuna's case, however, one should consider the special type of aggressors, namely his own grandfather, own teacher, friends, sons, grandsons, etc. Because of them, Arjuna thought that he should not take the severe steps necessary against ordinary aggressors. Besides that, saintly persons are advised to forgive. Such injunctions for saintly persons are more important than any political emergency. Arjuna considered that rather than kill his own kinsmen for political reasons, it would be better to forgive them on the grounds of religion and saintly behavior. He did not, therefore, consider such killings profitable simply for the matter of temporary bodily happiness. After all, kingdoms and pleasures derived therefrom are not permanent. So why should he risk his life and eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? Arjuna's addressing of Krishna as Madhava, or the husband of the goddess of fortune, is also significant in this connection. He wanted to point out to Krishna that, as husband of the goddess of fortune, he should not have to induce Arjuna to take up a matter which would ultimately bring out misfortune. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone, to say nothing of his devotees.
यद्यप्येतेन पश्यन्ति लोभोपहत चेतसः कुलक्षयकृतं दोषं मित्रद्रोहे च पातकम्.
Oh, this is N38. Let's see if this is 38. Oh, Janardana, although these men, overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, with knowledge of the sin, engage in these acts? A Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse to battle or gamble when he is so invited by some rival party. Under such obligation, Arjuna could not refuse to fight because he was challenged by the party of Duryodhana. In this connection, Arjuna considered that the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. Arjuna, however, could see that the evil consequences could not accept the challenge. Could see the evil consequences and could not accept the challenge. Obligation is actual binding when the effect is good, but when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. Considering all these pros and cons, Arjuna decides not to fight.
कुलक्षये प्रणश्यन्ति कुलधर्मा सनातनाः धर्मे नष्टे कुलं कृत्स्नम् अधर्मोऽभिभवत्युत.
Kulakase, in destroying the family, Pranasayante becomes vanquished. Oh wait, I'm doing the synonyms. With the destruction of dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irregular practice. In the system of the Varnasrama institution, there are many principles of religious traditions to help members of the family grow properly and attain spiritual values. The elder members are responsible for such purifying processes in the family, beginning from birth to death. But on the death of the elder members, such family traditions of purifications may stop, and the remaining younger family members may develop irreligious habits and thereby lose their chance for spiritual salvation. Therefore, for no purpose should the elder members of the family be slain.
कृष्ण प्रदुष्यन्ति कुलत्रयः स्त्रीषु दुष्टासु वार्ष्णेय जायते वर्णसङ्करः.
When e-religion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the woman of the family becomes corrupt. And from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. Good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. The Varnashrama religion's principles were so designed that the good population would prevail in society and the general spiritual progress of state and community. Such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by the elder members of the family. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. According to Kanakya Pandit, women are generally not very intelligent and therefore not trustworthy. So the different family traditions of religious activities should always engage them. And thus the chastity and devotion will give birth to a good population eligible for participating in the Varnasrama system. On the failure of such Varnasrama dharma, naturally the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and pestilence.
शङ्करो नरकायैव कुलघ्नानां कुलस्य च पतन्ति पितरो ह्येषां लुप्तपिण्डोदकक्रियाः.
When there is increase of unwanted population, a hellish situation is created both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. In such corrupt families, there is no offering of obligations of food and water to the ancestors. According to the rules and regulations of fruitive activities, there is no need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful actions. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasadam food are offered to forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Dasvari Bhutapta Nurnam Patranam Na Kinkaro Naya Cha Rajan Sarva Tamana Ya Saranam Sarayam Gato Mukandam Kartya Kartam. Anyone who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation, and has taken to the path of all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality Godhead.
दोषैरेतैकुलघ्नानाम् वर्णसङ्करकारकैः उत्साद्यन्ते जातिधर्माः कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वताः.
Due to the evil deeds of the destroyers of family tradition, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. The four orders of human society, combined with the family welfare activities as they are set forth by the institution of the Sanatana Dharma or Varnashrama Dharma, are designed to enable the human being to attain his ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of the Sanatana Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society brings about chaos in that society, and consequently, people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are called blind, and persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos.
उत्सन्नकुलधर्माणाम् मनुष्याणाम् जनार्दन नरके नियतं वासः भवतीत्यनुशुश्रुमा.
O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I've heard by the disciplic succession that those who destroy family traditions dwell always in hell. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience, but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. Wow, that's exactly what we were saying this morning. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is always established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashrama institution by which one has to undergo the process of ablution before death for his sinful activity. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of ablution called the prayaschitta. Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as the result of sinful activities. Whoa! Oh my god, that scared me.
That's my 4-pound doggy. Sorry.
I don't have your videos up, and all of a sudden my computer just barked at me.
अहो बत महत्पापम् कर्तुं व्यवसिता वयम् यद्राज्यसुखलोभेन हन्तुं स्वजनमुद्यताः.
Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. Driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as the killing of one's own brother, father, or mother. There are many such instances in the history of the world. But Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of the moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. I'll pause here since it's 8. Everyone can share their thoughts, questions. Doggy barks.
Well, I kind of like that Arjuna is still having trouble with the idea of killing his kin, even though they're evil. I like that idea. And also, I'm really glad that we had our daily dose of misogyny first thing in the morning so that, we can just say,
I don't know. This book still seems scary to me in the sense of, I guess it's hard for me to just have this idea of believing like all or nothing type of thing. Like, and I don't do that. I don't plan to do that, but I can see the lessons in it, but some of the lessons are a little extreme to explain. I guess it's like confused. Like they talk about these unwanted children and these acts of adultery, but like then I always am like, well, that was their path. So was it meant to happen or was it not meant to happen? Like, how could there be such thing as an unwanted child? I mean, I can understand some examples of why there would be one, but not just based on the overall idea of adultery.
well, even now, if someone discovers that the partner discovers that the child is not their child, I mean, that certainly is cause for many people to separate and cause for many people to treat the child with great disdain or to ignore the child because it's not theirs.
Oh yeah, well that I could see. That's not how I was reading this though.
How are you reading it, Pam?
I didn't realize. So they were like tricking people into thinking it was their child. I just assumed that it was just like a mistress child. Or just like I was trying to not think about that. I was trying to think about it in like real world and how I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. Sometimes it's hard for me to think while I'm reading.
Yeah, I understand. Totally. Maybe, but if you think in terms of alleged illegitimate kids, just think to the royal family in Britain, which is so blazoned. I mean, there are no princes who are illegitimate kids, even now. And one struggles to believe that there are no illegitimate royal children. I mean, it's hard to believe that. So, I mean, there's the fact that a kid could be unwanted is not so surprising.
No, I'm not saying that a kid can't. That's not what's surprising me, but it's just like automatically saying it's an unwanted child just because it was born that way.
But culturally, that's been true in many cultures, and it's even now. I'm trying to remember. It might be my husband is kind of reading a biography of George Orwell, although it's a visual biography. Anyway, he spent a lot of time in India when the British were still, colonial oppressors in India. And one of the things that was true there was that an illegitimate child meant that the wife could be cast out, and the child as well. And it was just something that was accepted. The woman could also be horribly punished, and that was accepted as well. And, George Orwell was around until what, late 50s? So it's not that long ago.
Oh,
So-
you know what? I didn't realize there was only 2 more Shlokas to this chapter. I probably should have just read through, but I wasn't reading in the book. Oh well, we'll finish tomorrow. Is today Friday? No.
Today's Thursday.
Yeah. No, again, I'm not hung up on the unwanted child part. I guess what I'm saying is like it's hard for me, like I said, like to believe all or nothing, and then to also study this idea of like building karmas and paths, and like just trying to be accepting of like, well, that was meant to happen, and then like maybe it just doesn't make sense in my brain yet to come out.
Well, it is conflicting.
Yeah. To me, it's conflicting at least.
To me also, it's two opposites.
Well, I think the idea for me is that Krishna is God. He's everything. He's life, and therefore he is not all good. And even though we can sing about God being all good, he's not all good. He's all powerful, and there's a big difference. And I don't know, there's a little thread hanging in my head that says, even though he's not all good, wouldn't bother him too much if we headed in that direction.
So that I'm conflicted about similar things. I mentioned it yesterday. So my daughter wanted to know more about church and Jesus. So I got books to read, and they were similar to this. It was, they're giving like all these little, whatever you want to call them, stories about, how it was similar to this. The one boy was exiled from his family. He left, and then he had all the rich. He was well respected. He had this horrible life, and then he was well respected. And then the brothers came to him, and he was kind and sweet to them. After they were so terrible to him, and that's what we know and we like to believe. It seems like. But then there was someone else who defied, the laws of God, and they went to battle, and God helped the good guy with the sword behead the other guy. And I was like, whoa. And then Amanda helped me yesterday with the explanation she gave. Like, that one evil person can hurt millions of people. Sometimes you need to step up. But there are different people, like I guess with the doshas or the fire that's in people, that's who could do it, who can't do it. I'm more like of an Arjun guy, but I'm sure if someone's here trying to hurt my kid, I'll probably kill him.
Mhm.
But the texts from the past are very narrow-minded and hurtful to us now, how they talk about women and how unwanted children, and because we've evolved to come up with better situations on how to handle it now, like there's adoption, or there's ways to handle it. So I feel like we go back to the old texts to learn, and they are useful, but unfortunately there's a lot of narrow-mindedness and prejudice, and we're slowly coming out of it now. I can't believe that it's a necessary evil to eliminate evil, but I guess it is.
Yeah. Oh. Oops. All right, well, it's 8:10. Let's start breath and meditation. We can meditate on what we read today. So just taking a few breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Setting up your straight spine, whether you're sitting up or laying down. Lengthening the breath in and deepening it out. Softening the face. And then bringing your right hand over to your nose, closing right nostril with your thumb. Inhale through your left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Continuing on like that on your own breath. Adding locks and retention if it's in your practice. When you feel ready, you'll exhale out through your left nostril. There's no rush to get there. You'll join us when you're ready. Bringing hands to heart. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful day.
Namaste. Thank you, Pam. for
Thank you.